I was too busy hopping on planes and going on vacation to get much reading done in August. But let's talk about the 5 books that I read. So I did read 5 books in August, 2 of which were advanced reader copies that I got from NetGalley that are digital. And then I read 3 physical books. I read 1,834 pages, so not too shabby. Average rating this month of 3.55. So I feel like a little lower than normal for me, but that's okay. Also, are we feeling the fall vibes with my little gnome? He's so cute, right? I also have this cute little pillow. Look at this. Love. You could tell as soon as September 1st rolled around, I had to bust out all of my fall decorations. The first book I read, which was Narc on NetGalley, was Beyond All Reasonable Doubt, Jesus is Alive. And this is by Melissa Lozada-Oliva, and it's a collection of short horror stories. I really loved some of the stories. I really didn't get some of the other ones. And I really realized in reading this that I do not like short stories. It is not my jam. And I probably should have looked at that before I requested it on NetGalley, but I didn't because I'm silly. So sorry about that. I would be interested in reading more from this author in the future. I thought her writing was great. It was interesting. Some of it was a little graphic, but I mean, it's a little bit about horror. So, of course, it's going to be graphic. I did end up rating this a 2.5. Again, that's more because of my own bias against short stories than anything else, but it really wasn't for me. So I feel bad about it. And I need to pay attention more before I request these arcs on NetGalley. The other arc I read is called We Are Always Tender with Our Dead by Eric LaRocca. And let me tell you, this took me on a ride. I don't know what I was expecting with this horror book novel. Oh, but it was a lot. It was a lot. It was intense. As you can imagine from the title, they were not very tender with their dead. Quite the opposite. It was things were getting weird. It's getting weird, as Nini says. And this is a story about a group of people in this town who get shot down on, it was like during a Christmas parade, and they get shot down by this family that is faceless. They have no features. They have like 2 holes where their nose should be and like a little hole for like their mouth, but they have like no, so like almost like a smooth doll face, but like they could still function kind of as humans. And the thing that drove me crazy, spoiler alert if you plan on reading this book, they did not explain why the people had like no face. And that really annoyed me. Now, this is going to be the first book in a series. So maybe, in all fairness, they will get to that later down the line. But I wanted answers now. It was really weird. Also, the main character's father and him are like supposed to be guarding the bodies of the dead people, like, and they can't move them from where they were massacred in the street. And this is like weeks later. And they never tell you why they do that either. The father also takes one of the dead bodies, and then you can imagine what happens. It's like really, if you are on like really graphic horror, I mean, this wasn't like the most graphic thing I've ever read, but it was disturbing. It was definitely disturbing. And I kind of see where what the author was trying to do, but in general, it wasn't for me. And I will not be continuing with the series. There was a lot of unanswered questions, and like I said, I know it's the first book that's going to be in a series, but pass. And I rated it. I did rate it slightly higher than the short story book. I rated it a 2.75. Would be interested to read more from the author, from anything else he's put out, and in the future. I liked the idea, but the execution on this one was just not for me. And it's okay. That's all right. Not everything has to be for me. In August, I ended up finishing City of Sedition, which is a history of New York City during the Civil War by John Strausbaugh. I read this book before years and years ago, and unfortunately didn't retain much of the information. I just don't think I was as critical of a reader then as I am now. But if you like New York City history, if you like Civil War era history, this book is absolutely fantastic. He does a great job of like weaving together stories of all of the people who either lived in, it had influence over, or passed through New York City during this time. And it's just there's so many characters: Walt Whitman, Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, the Vanderbilts, Boss Tweed, all of the robber barons. Like, it's very pre-Gilded Age. So you're getting all of those characters. Also, probably if you like the show, maybe you want to read this book because it's like sets up the Gilded Age. But I loved it. I love anything about New York City history. It's also really important to remember, and this book discusses it very much, that New York City has always been a city that cares about making money above everything else. And New York was actually the only city in the North that was willing to secede with the South because they greatly profited off the institution of slavery. And they, the New York City, the port also served as both legal and illegal import of people who would be enslaved at that time period. So really dark stuff, twisted stuff. And, I think being from the North, I'm from New York. I've lived in New York my entire life in and around the city. I live in Queens now, and I love living in New York City. I would never want to live anywhere else. However, it is important to remind yourself that, just because we're here doesn't mean that we're immune to any of the, horrific things that can happen, not only in other parts of the country, but in other parts of the world. I have to switch up my angle because the sun is setting slowly behind me and we're getting really bad glare. Let me move this guy over. Hopefully he sits there. So again, City of Sedition, just really important New York City history that sometimes gets glossed over. And like I said, I think being a Northerner, you kind of forget of the role that everyone played in the institution of slavery in the United States and all of the roles that, we played globally now as such a global city. And this kind of just like sets up the whole scene for New York to be what it is today. Excellent book, rated at 4 stars. Like I mentioned, if you like any kind of New York City history, Civil War era history, pick this one up. It's excellent and it's a great read. My highlight of the month, and what is sure to be one of my new favorite books of all time, is The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. Oh my God. This book was, I don't want to say it was a joy to read because there was definitely parts of it that were not a joy to read, but I absolutely love this story. I love Tananarive Due's writing, and I'm definitely going to be picking up more of her work because this was just it's a perfect book, no notes. Absolutely love it. If you like historical fiction, if you like horror, if you like literary fiction, you would like this book. There are elements of all of those things in this book that are all done so well, and that's what makes this book so excellent. So we follow Robbie Stevens Jr., whose father has run away to Chicago after he's been wanted for the alleged rape of a white woman in the 50s in Florida. We do learn through the book that his father, of course, did not do it. He was just accused of it. It was her abusive husband. But Robbie and his older sister, who they're only about maybe like 12 and like 14 or something like that, around those ages, he gets in trouble for kicking one of the wealthy white boys in town who also happens to be like kind of like their neighbors. And Robbie's family has always lived on that land, and from what they could tell, their ancestors were enslaved by the rich family that lives down the road. So rich white boy comes onto Robbie's sister, and while he's defending her, he kicks him, and he gets sent to 6 months of this reformatory school by the judge. But I just want to read you the synopsis because it's a perfect encapsulation of the story. 12-year-old Robbie Stevens Jr. is sentenced to 6 months at the Gracetown School for Boys, an institution, for kicking the son of the largest landowner in town in defense of his older sister, Gloria. So begins Robbie's journey further into the terrors of the Jim Crow South and the very real horror of the school they call the Reformatory. Robbie has a talent for seeing ghosts or haints, but what was once a comfort to him after the loss of his mother has become a window into the truth of what happens at the Reformatory. Boys forced to work to remediate their so-called crimes have gone missing, but the hints Robbie sees hint at worse things. Through his friends Redbone and Blue, Robbie is learning not just the rules, but how to survive. Meanwhile, Gloria is rallying every family member and connection in Florida to find a way to get Robbie out before it's too late. The Reformatory is a hallucinatory, haunting, terrifying, and moving work of historical fiction written as only award-winning author Tananarive Due could, by piecing together the life of the relative her family never spoke of and bringing his tragedy and those of so many others at the infamous Dozier School for Boys to light in this riveting novel. So Tananarive Due had a relative who went to the Dozier School for Boys, which was a real reformatory school in Florida. So this is like loosely based upon that. Again, we have a lot of horror elements here. So she does obviously take some creative liberties, but a lot of what she writes about in the book were real horrors that went on. These characters are so heartfelt and so earnest. And I want to like reach through the page and like hug these kids. And there's so much personality for all of the characters in this book. Like, you know who these characters are. And Tananarive Due is just an excellent writer. Again, I cannot wait to pick up more from her because this was just, I really want to know if anyone else is, if you've read this, please let me know what you thought about it because this book is absolutely fantastic. Like, I'm never going to stop talking about how great this book is, and I'm never going to stop recommending this book to people. It's so good. It's so good. 10 out of 10, no notes, or 5 out of 5. Obviously, I did rate this 5 stars if I didn't say that. Absolutely perfect. Loved it. We had a short month, only 5 books. Well, not a short month. I had some would say not productive month. I only read 5 books, but I was traveling. I was away for a bachelorette party, and then I went to Puerto Rico to see Bad Bunny, which was life-changing. Absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comments below if you have gone to see Bad Bunny at the residency in Puerto Rico. Fantastic. But I did end up rounding out the month with The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. And I love Lucy Foley's thrillers. I think they're super solid. It's like Agatha Christie-esque. Haven't read anything by Agatha Christie yet, but I know she's a big inspiration. And I know it's like the same whodunit formula. But I really enjoy them. I would say out of the ones I've read, I have not read The Midnight Feast, which is her newest one. I've read The Paris Apartment, The Guest List, and now The Hunting Party. I will say of those 3, this is my least favorite, but that by no means that it's a bad book. I think it's great. I think it's a perfect quick read if you want to change up what you've normally been reading, if you want something that's fast paced, that you're going to get through fairly easily. And that's like a fun guessing game of the whodunit. Who's the killer? Who died and who is the killer? Because Lucy Foley famously doesn't reveal who's actually dead until you're much further into the book. So you're trying to guess who died and you're trying to guess who did it. Most of her, I feel like, is a theme with her thrillers with rich people behaving badly. It's like a group of wealthy friends from Oxford, and they take a trip to this remote Scottish cabin over New Year's Eve, and it's supposed to be like to get everybody back together and what a nice time they'll all have reliving their college days. But you kind of find out like everyone kind of hates each other for whatever different reason, and everyone has resentments and everyone has unresolved issues. And so anyone could be murdered and anyone could be the killer. But I thought it was super solid. Again, 3.5 stars. My least favorite of the thrillers, Paris Apartment, is my favorite Lucy Foley book. It's excellent. But if you're interested in any of her books, pick them up. I think they're a super solid read that you're definitely going to enjoy. Thanks for sticking around for the recap of the 5 books that I read in August. I'm hoping September will be a slightly more productive reading month. I am not traveling this month, so we have a shot at actually getting some more things read. So as we move into spooky season, we will see some more horror reads. We will see some more thriller reads. I mean, I read those things all year round, but like we are really getting into it, into my favorite season. So let me know how many books you read in August, and then let me know what are you most looking forward to reading for September. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.